Thanks, Mike. Well, look, I think all of you would probably recognize that one of the biggest problems with getting continuous improvement ideas from the shop floor into the system is the system. I mean, if you think about it, you're an assembler, you're a machinist, whatever. You work on the shop floor, you have a bright idea. You're assembling something or you're working on something, you have this bright idea, hey, this would make my job easier. But to get your idea into the system, you have to do paperwork or you have to bring your manager over, show them what you're doing. It all has to be documented and so on and so forth. And if it's a really big idea, maybe you'll go through the hassle. What if it's just a little idea? If I just did this one little thing, it'd make my job easier. But it's not that big a deal. I'm not going to worry about it. I don't want to jump through these hoops. I got my job to do. Right? So in a sense, that kind of quashes continuous improvement ideas, the little ones. And a bunch of little ideas are great. You want a bunch of little ideas. Well, what if you can make it easy for people on the shop floor without leaving their workstation to get their bright ideas into the system? Well, that is the idea behind a new module for the Sequence Enterprise software, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's called the Sequence Enterprise Kaizen Module for iPad, and actually it'll work on any device. It's web-based, so we're going to have it on an iPad today, but you could actually use that on any device. And the idea behind it is Sequence software, if you've remembered, we've talked about this before, is a piece of software for developing and deploying work instructions to the shop floor. It's completely electronic. At your workstation, you might have a laptop or a notebook or a desktop computer, whatever. You're getting your work instructions for whatever product right at your workplace. And of course, because they're electronic, they're always the most up-to-date version. So this is a module that goes with that. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works. So if we switch over, let's say, to the gauge cam here. So let's say I'm an assembler, and this is a device that I build. This is a device that I assemble. This is called a microscope translator. This, I believe, moves a lens or a turret back and forth. And this is what I'm building. So this is what my work instructions might look like. I'm going to put my iPad here in front of it. Open it up. So this is what I would have at my workstation. This is the Sequence Enterprise software. And on the left-hand side, these are my work instructions. These are the written instructions for each step. And this is a picture that might go along with it. So typically I would start from the top and work my way all the way through. And there's my first step. There's a description, a picture. Here's the fourth step down. Here's a description. There's a picture, and so forth. But what I'm interested in is this last little bit. And this is install the switch. Now let me get back to my device here. So as an assembler, what I'm seeing is I'm installing this switch, and I notice when I'm done, what I have is this assembly with this loose wire hanging off. Now I've been talking to my friend Jane, who is the one who installs this assembly in a larger assembly. And she says, one of the problems is every time I install this, or a lot of times, this wire gets hung up on part of my assembly, and it gets nicked, and I have to replace the harness, or sometimes it gets snagged, and the wire gets torn off the switch, and we have to resolder it back on. Man, what a pain, and it takes time. So as the one responsible for this assembly, I have a bright idea. I go, if we were just to put a tie wrap sticky on there, and we were to tie wrap this harness to the assembly, we would accomplish a couple of things. And I'll just trim this off. Number one, we'd be providing strain relief for the cable. And also, because it's nice and compact, when we go to install this, it's going to have less likelihood of snagging. What a simple solution. So here I am. I'm this assembler. I've got this bright idea. Now, how do I get this bright idea, which is really simple, into the system? Well, here's what I do. Remember, I've got my work instructions already in front of me. I'm on this last step, install switch. So I'm going to submit a note. And in that note, I'm going to type in what I think a good idea would be, which would be to install tie wrap sticky and tie wrap the harness. And not only that, I'm going to take a picture of it. So I'm going to, down here, I'm going to click Browse. Oops, sorry about that. Browse, take a photo or video, and I'm going to put this right in front of the camera, and I am going to take a picture, there we go, of what I just did. And there we go. And now you can see, there's my picture that I just took of my assembly there. I'm going to use that. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to submit it. Submit it. And there we go. I'm done. That took what? A couple minutes, a minute and a half. I have this bright idea. I submit it back into, I put it into the system, and now I'm done. I can go on with my job. I didn't have to leave and go grab a manager. I didn't have to fill out any paperwork. And more important, the context of everything I did is already there. Remember, if I fill out a piece of paper, I have to put my name, I have to put the assembly number, the model number onto it. I have to describe everything. I have to supply the context. Because the assembler is already logged into the system, it knows who she is. It knows what product she's working on. It knows what step in the assembly she's on. All she had to do was type in a description and take a picture, and that's it. Now she moves on. Now what happens on the back end? Well, on the back end, at the same time that she emailed this, submitted it, an email was sent to whichever manager is in charge of maybe that product line or those assembly instructions or whatever. An email was sent to them saying, hey, somebody has submitted a suggestion. So if we go to our screen share here, what happens for them is they'll get an email message, and they'll come out here to the back end of the Sequence Enterprise software, and they'll go to that part, and they'll see a flag there. And, oops, let me update my screen here because I'm, yeah, exactly. They'll see a flag. They'll go down to the switch. They'll see a flag. And, well, I'm sorry. I had to update my screen. Typically they would, there we go. Sorry about that. Left out one of my steps. So they're going to drill down into their assembly. Into their assembly. To their install switch. And there's some notes. And there is the note that she installed. I'm not sure if you can read it on your screen, but there's the note that she typed. Install tie wrap sticky and tie wrap the harness. And if we open this up, you'll see there is the picture that she took from her screen. So now I'm the manager. I can review this. I can go, okay, I like this idea. This is interesting. I like what she's saying here. So let's go ahead and do something with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new step. And I'm just going to create a new step on the procedure, and I'll call it install tie wrap. And I'll go back to her note. Here's her notes here. And, oops, wrong note. This note. And I will copy her text. And I'll come back into my work instruction here that I just now created. And I'll type in her text or copy in her text. Maybe I'll add some more text of my own, fix any grammar mistakes or whatever. And you know, I liked her image, so I'm just going to drag this image down as well. And now her description and her image are now part of this, pending approval, are part of this work instruction. So now all that's happened is this now goes through an approval process, an electronic approval process similar to what you have on any kind of document control system. And once it's approved, the next time she goes out to build that product and she brings up her work instruction, that's going to be there. Now think about what this did. It allowed her to take a very simple idea, which maybe she wouldn't have mentioned to anybody because it was just kind of in passing, and it's such a simple thing to do, and she doesn't want to be hassled. It was so easy to do. She put that idea into the system. So imagine you had everybody on the shop floor that easily being able to contribute continuous improvement ideas to the system. Imagine how much great ideas you would be getting out of that. Not just the big ones, but the little ones. And really, seriously, on the shop floor, big ideas are great, but I guarantee you, you get a lot more mileage out of the hundreds of little ideas that people have on the top of their heads every single day. So that's what you want to facilitate, and that's what this software does. So once again, this is the Sequence Enterprise Kaizen Module for iPad. As I said, it's web-based, so you can use it on anything. Part of the Sequence Enterprise software from FFD Incorporated. So great little product. Look it up. There's